Aborigines, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine.
We were not brought here on slave ships. That's not economically sound. This
what do you mean?
Make sense. So when Christopher Columbus got here, Christopher Columbus got to the Caribbean, according to a primary source.
Right.
They basically said the first thing he did was take slaves. He didn't bring slaves. He took slaves from the island. He captured people. So when you have colonization, you got to remember, the United States was only built 13 colonies at first, right? You think this whole land was empty? No.
For a long time, it was believed that the first humans in the Americas, the Clovis culture, arrived around 13,000 years ago, crossing from Siberia via a land bridge called Beringia. They were thought to have entered through an ice-free corridor between two ice sheets. However, new evidence challenges this theory. Studies show the corridor likely didn't open until 11,000 to 12,000 years ago and was uninhabitable for centuries, making it unlikely the Clovis people used it to spread across the continent. This question gained further weight when later the Meadowcroft Rock Shelter in Pennsylvania was identified as the oldest known human occupation site in North America, with artifacts dated to at least 16,000 years ago. Then, Cooper's Ferry in Idaho, also dated to around 16,000 years ago, was announced as another early human site. These sites suggested that people were here before the ice core.
So who was Luthia? And where did she come from? To find out, the skull was taken to a hospital in Rio de Janeiro to begin the process of reconstructing her face. The first stage was to make a three-dimensional CAT scan of Luthia's skull in order to build a replica. The cast was then given to Richard Neve of the University of Manchester in England, one of the world's leading forensic artists, to recreate her features.
That, to me, is a Negroid face that has all the features that you associate with a Negroid face. The proportions of the face, it doesn't say anything about it being Mongoloid.
Was this then the face of a first American? Her reconstruction is confirmed by measurements Walter Nevis has taken of all his skulls.
The first reaction was not to believe in it, but as the results, repeated so many times, and the result is exactly the same thing. They are very similar to nowadays Aborigines and Africans, and no similarity at all with Mongoloids in Asia or with American Indians.
18 years ago, two young men made news when they found a skull on the bank of the Columbia River near Kennewick, Washington. Suspecting foul play, they called the police, who thought the skull looked very old. They were right. Anthropologists excavated the area and found the full skeleton and determined it had been carefully buried along the river 9,000 years ago.
It is certainly America's most important skeleton. It is an exceptionally rare discovery. It does not happen but once in a lifetime.
Doug Owsley is the Smithsonian's top physical anthropologist. He sued the federal government and local Indian tribes for the right to study Kennewick Man.
We know what happened 10,000 years ago.
The tribes believe the bones are ancestral and should be reburied, but the courts found that the remains had little genetic connection to present-day Indians and ruled in favor of science. One of Owsley's biggest challenges was recreating what Kennewick Man actually looked like.
How do you get this from that?
Well, you're going to take the skull and it's your template. It's your template for the outline and for the different structures where the eye, the nose.
Sculptors took months to build this likeness based on the shape of his skull and archival photos from Asian coastal people. Native Americans are still fighting for the right to bury Kennewick Man, but the federal government is holding on to his remains until the dispute between the tribes and the scientists can be resolved.
I feel that the skeleton is just beginning to talk to us, and we need to carry on that conversation.
A conversation with a man who hasn't spoken a word in 9,000 years.
From the whole South America, okay, from 7,000 to the present, they are absolutely classic Mongoloid. And everything I have with more than 9,000, okay, is absolutely non-Mongoloid.
At the southernmost end of the continent lies Tierra del Fuego, a group of islands isolated from the mainland by the Strait of Magellan. The oldest skull found in this part of the world is 9,000 years old. It too was measured by Walter Nevis.
91. This skull also shows a strong similarity with Australians and no similarity at all with nowadays Indians or Mongoloids. Okay, so even in the extreme southern cone of the Americas, okay, was inhabited by these people that has nothing to do with Mongoloids.
It seems that some tribes of American Aborigines may have escaped, finding sanctuary here at the far end of South America. So what became of them?